Okay, imagine for a second that, well, everything you think you know about hunger and weight and maybe even discipline, what if it's all kind of missing the point?
Hmm.
Like, what if the real changes, the ones that actually stick, aren't really about battling food? What if it's something else entirely, something internal?
Exactly. That's the core question we're really digging into today. We're trying to go beyond, the usual talk about weight loss
Right.
and explore these um, pretty profound psychological shifts, changes in identity that can happen when your body changes significantly,
Uh,
especially with things like semaglutide.
Yeah.
It's a bit unexpected, and we're getting some really unique insights from someone named Dan Hollis.
Okay, so Dan Hollis. And
Yeah,
our material for this deep dive, it comes from a few places, right?
that's right. Three main sources. We have notes from actually meeting Dan Hollis, so
Yeah.
just core ideas straight from them.
Okay.
Then there's this really vivid field note. It details one person's experience, Adrian's story, which just brings it all to life.
Ah, okay. A case study, almost.
Yeah, exactly. And finally, some reflections on how to handle, well, what people usually call setbacks. Dan sees those very differently.
Interesting. So, the mission today, what are we trying to give people?
Well, the goal is really to get past just the physical side of weight loss.
No.
We want to uncover these deeper truths, about identity, confusion,
Right,
these sort of silent spaces that open up when you're transforming.
right.
Basically, we want to offer a shortcut to understanding what's really going on when the body changes faster than you do, when your story lags behind.
That's a great way to put it. So, let's start there. This radical shift, it really challenges how we normally think, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Because usually weight means calories, carbs, willpower, discipline. That's the usual stuff.
The standard narrative.
But Dan Hollis just cuts right through that. He basically says, nope, they're all wrong. He says it's about something else. So, what is this something else?
It's fascinating. His main idea, the thing that really flips the script,
Yeah.
is that semaglutide. It gives you silence. Yeah. And crucially, he says, silence gives you truth. Just think about that. Imagine, maybe for the first time in like 20 years, that constant internal noise about food, the cravings, the guilt, the planning, it just goes quiet.
Wow.
What happens then? What thoughts, what feelings might actually surface in that quiet?
Okay, I see. So it's not about like white knuckling it, more control.
Not at all. He calls it intentional surrender. It's about letting go of that constant fight, just allowing your actual signals, your body's real needs, to come through without all the old baggage piled on top.
Intentional surrender. I like that. But it also brings up a big question, right? If it's not about control and people aren't like failing because they're just so hungry,
Mm.
what's the real hurdle then?
Um,
Dan makes this really interesting point. He says people don't relapse into hunger, they relapse into confusion.
mm.
What does that actually mean? What does that feel like?
It's like feeling completely lost,
Yeah.
disoriented, which leads to the huge question Dan poses. It's kind of his headline. What if you weren't broken, just confused? Think about how that challenges the story so many people tell themselves.
Yeah.
You know, that they're somehow flawed or weak-willed.
Yeah, totally.
So when you ask Dan what semaglutide really does, he doesn't talk about appetite stuff. He says, and this is a direct quote, it gives you a moment where food stops talking.
To stop talking.
Yeah. And for some people, that's the first honest moment they've had in 20 years. And in that honesty, that quiet, well, that's when the real stuff comes up. The emotions, the habits, the things food was maybe masking.
It's a powerful image. Food as this constant voice, this companion almost. And maybe even a comforting lie, like Dan says.
Exactly. He talks about the fear of silence, that feeling of having lost their favorite lie.
Hmm.
And when that happens, what did people do?
Go back to what's familiar.
He got it. Back to the cheese puffs, cheat days, chaos, as he puts it. Back to the noise, even if it's destructive, because the silence feels too alien, too uncomfortable.
It really forces you to face what was underneath all along.
Which is exactly Dan's point, his core belief. It was never about the food.
Okay, so if it wasn't really about the food, then what was it about? This seems like the perfect place to bring in Adrian's story.
Mm-hmm. It illustrates this so well.
She experienced what Dan calls identity lag. Can you describe that moment? The toothpaste moment, I think you call it.
Yeah, it's so relatable. She's just, brushing her teeth, totally normal moment, looks in the mirror,
Yeah.
and she doesn't recognize the woman staring back. She said something like, I knew it was me, but I didn't feel like I belonged to her. That hit me. That's the identity lag in action.
Wow.
And that's
Sweet.
precisely Dan Hollis's term, identity lag. He puts it this way. Your body can change faster than your story. And when that happens, the soul gets confused.
The soul gets
And
confused?
give it like, your phone gets a massive update,
Right.
right? New operating system.
Mhm.
But your brain, your internal apps, your habits, how you talk to yourself, they're still running the old software. They haven't caught up.
That's a great analogy. It's not just the physical change, it's the internal narrative kind of glitching.
Exactly. It's struggling to keep pace.
You know, what's really interesting here, and maybe counterintuitive, is Dan's point about the real crisis. Most people think the hard part is losing the weight itself.
Right. The struggle, the diet.
But Dan says no, the crisis often comes in the moments after. After the hunger fades, the old routines don't fit anymore, and he says the armor drops. What does he mean by armor dropping?
It means all those ways you learn to cope, to navigate the world, the whole internal script you had tied to your previous body, suddenly they don't apply anymore. They're obsolete.
So Adrienne wasn't sad about losing pounds.
She was mourning the version of herself who had carried them. All her strategies for social events, her self-image, her entire identity was wrapped up in that older version of herself. She knew how to be that person, challenges and all.
And suddenly, that person isn't there in the mirror.
Right. And this new person is a stranger. It's deeply unsettling.
And Dan's approach here is key, isn't it? He doesn't just say, oh, but you look great, you should be proud.
No, none of that. He just listens.
Uh-huh.
He gets it. He acknowledges that the weight loss is just the clearing. The becoming takes longer. It's about holding space for that messy middle part.
The clearing, not the end point.
Exactly. And that clearing, that space, is what Dan calls the quiet window. It's this period where the old hunger is gone, the old noise is down, and something more honest is arriving.
Okay.
It forces this huge reevaluation because the old default settings are just gone.
So semaglutide creates this silence, this quiet window. But then what do you actually do in that window? It sounds like both an opportunity and maybe kind of scary.
It can be both, absolutely. And that's where Dan Hollis offers something really practical. He talks about building scaffolding in the space semaglutide opens.
Scaffolding, like for construction.
Kind of, but internal scaffolding. He says it includes framework, identity, ritual, language. Basically, since the old structure built around food and your old identity isn't working anymore.
You need to build a new one. Consciously.
Precisely. And that's where we see Adrienne's work of rewriting the names of things.
Right. Tell us about that.
For her, shame became memory. It was something that happened, not who she is. Control became curiosity. Instead of trying to clamp down, she got curious about her feelings. And discipline became alignment. Doing things because they felt right, not because she should.
Wow, that's more than just changing words. That's changing your whole relationship with those feelings. Right?
Exactly. Moving away from self-judgment towards just observing and choosing intentionally.
So it's not really about the number on the scale at this point.
Not at all. This work, Jam says, is about rewriting the story people were too full to finish, getting to the deeper stuff that was always there, just hidden by the noise.
That's powerful, rewriting the story.
And through doing this, Adrienne found something really important. Permission.
Permission for what?
Permission to just not know. To not have it all figured out yet. Permission to feel awkward in that in-between stage. And, crucially, permission to build a new story without having to, completely trash the old one.
So it's about integration, not just replacement.
Yes. Letting the past inform the future, but not dictate it.
And the change in Adrienne, it wasn't dramatic on the outside, maybe?
No, it was subtle. The mirror was the same, but the way she greeted it did change. She just stood there longer.
That says so much. A quiet kind of acceptance, belonging to herself again.
Finding that footing.
And this idea of rewriting the story, it feels crucial when we talk about what happens next, right? Because people hit plateaus or those old cravings creep back in.
Oh, yeah, that happens. And it's easy to feel like, ugh, I'm failing, it's all coming back.
Right, the classic setback narrative. But Dan Hollis flips that too.
Completely reframes it. He says the setbacks are predictable, not shameful. They're actually just signals you're human, not proof of laziness or failure.
Predictable, not shameful. Okay. He uses a metaphor too, right? The staircase.
Yeah, the spiral staircase. You might feel like you're going in circles, seeing the same old view, dealing with the same old urges.
But you're actually higher up.
Exactly. You're still climbing, just on a new level, with maybe a bit more understanding each time you circle around.
That makes sense. It also connects to what he says about speed, doesn't it?
He emphasizes that fast results don't mean lasting results. In fact, pacing is protection.
Protection from what?
From that emotional whiplash, that identity lag we talked about, slowing down gives your mind, your story, time to catch up with your body.
So when those old cravings do pop up, it's not weakness.
Not according to Dan. He says it's just memory, an old neural pathway lighting up, basically asking, hey, does this still matter? Is this still how we cope?
And the silence gives you space to answer differently.
Precisely. You have a choice now that maybe wasn't there before.
So it comes back to the story again. A setback doesn't mean the medicine isn't working.
It means the story you were telling yourself still needs updating. It's always pointing back to that internal narrative.
Jim, how does Dan teach people to use that moment, that setback?
He teaches them to use the quiet space semaglutide offers, to approach it differently, to narrate it as a question, not a judgment.
Okay, less, oh no, I messed up, and more.
More curiosity. He encourages asking 3 simple but deep questions. What am I feeling right now? What do I really need? And who do I want to become in this moment?
Wow. Shifting from criticism to inquiry.
It's a total game changer.
Mhm.
Takes the shame right out of it.
So for anyone listening who might be feeling stuck or like they're slipping,
Yeah.
being in that place doesn't mean you're losing. It might mean you're learning.
Yeah.
Learning something really important about yourself.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It reframes the whole journey.
So wrapping this up, what have we really explored today? We've taken this really deep dive into looking at weight loss completely differently, haven't we?
Absolutely. Moving way beyond just food and exercise.
Yeah, seeing it not as this like battle against food, but more as a journey. A journey of, well, self-discovery, finding truth in silence, and then doing the work of rewriting your own identity.
Dan Hollis's perspective, it really is counterintuitive, but it shifts everything.
Yeah.
From just a physical thing to this profound psychological transformation.
So for you listening, maybe take a moment to think about your own relationship with hunger, and not just for food, right?
Maybe hunger for comfort,
Mm.
for control,
Often.
connection. What's really driving things, and how do you see yourself as your body changes, or even just as life throws curveballs?
Yeah. And maybe here's a final thought to chew on, something that builds on all this. If the real goal isn't just to lose something, but to actually become someone new, what kind of inner architecture, what scaffolding might you need to build? How can you start building that structure so you can truly belong to yourself again, especially in those quiet moments, those quiet windows of change?